you work within a prison, or you guys have prisons.
Yeah.
So your experiences, I know you're gonna have a lot of experience going into that prison when you speak to you or whoever you speak to when they're in prison. I want to ask you a question. What tends to be the underlying key factor that leads these people into prison? Like, what decisions have you, when you speak to them, what have been like their decisions that's led them? Has it been like financially they wanted something? Has it been anger towards probably somebody who's done something to them in the past that's made them react a certain way that's led them to go to prison? What would you say?
I think there can be lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
And I actually, unless the guy, because I'm working in a male with young offenders,
Yeah.
unless the young person tells me why they're there, I never ask. It's not important to me to know. Because one of the thing that's really important for me is, you know, you are not what you've done. I think we get told you are what you've done, and therefore that's your identity. And I think a massive part of, so obviously there can be reasons of like, I want to help my mum out, I want to help my dad, I want to help my family out, or single parent family, and he, you know, the boy is now looking after his younger brothers and sisters. That some of it can be needing to fit in. But a massive part of it is about identity, about knowing who we are, and we get told by society, by systems, this is who you are. And I say to these guys, particularly with the film that we were doing, I created this space, you know, we met up every day, and we just talked about the things that we don't normally talk about. And a massive part of that was actually learning to listen, not to respond, but to understand. And I think we don't do that anymore. I think we're so quick to like listen to respond, as opposed to listen to what someone said and take it to your heart and resonate with that, and then respond. And I said to them, you know, society will say you're this, the prison system, the justice system will say you're that, family and friends may say you're this now. But I said, who are you? Like, I said, do you even know the meaning of your name? And so we went away, and I said, look, I'm going to find out the meaning of your names. Because once you know who you are, then you walk in that identity. And I came back the next day, and a lot of them come, not all of them, but a lot of them come from Christian families. They've got, so I looked up the meaning of their names in Hebrew or Aramaic, and some of them had African names. We worked out what they meant in Igbo or Yoruba, and wherever else their names may have come from. And I came back the next day and I said, look, do you know that, you know, your name is this, but your name means this? And you know, there was a guy who's like, small guy, and I said, you know, your name means giant. And he looked at me and went, that's who you are, man. Now, all of these guys that I know, that I was working with in the film, I connected to them through the chaplaincy. So they all had some level of faith. They all had different journeys. And I said, you know what, if we're going to talk about it from that sense, I don't want to go too far into it, but, you know, that name may have taken you somewhere else because you didn't know who you were. So you're using your giant status in a different way. But actually, let's call it back to align it to where you're meant to be. And, you know, there's a guy whose name meant king, another guy, you know, just incredible names. Lion. And when they knew it, like something in them shifted, and it was so simple. And we don't often look at that side of our lives either. I think, you know, you've been given a name for a reason, and do you know what it means? And do you know? And start from that place. Okay, so what is a king? What is a man of giant status? What does it really mean to be a leader? What does it mean to really be a warrior? In terms of building and constructing and leaving a legacy. Yeah, I've kind of gone off on a tangent. I keep going off on tangents,
but I fully understand what you're saying.
Yeah, a lot of it is about, when I talk to the guys, it's about breaking down and breaking off the lies that society have told them, that experiences have told them, that people in authority have told them. Okay, let's get that one out and let's replace it with the truth. But I think it's really important about, if you're going to take something off, you've got to replace it with the truth. Because otherwise there's just this void there for some other kind of nonsense to to go back in, and it's a process, you know, because I might see them and then they go back on the wing and stuff happens, and then that thing that we've talked about has been forgotten, and it's about going back in that place and just rebuilding, and until they take it on for themselves and go, yeah, I am that.
Mm. Yeah, because do you remember as we had a conversation earlier, like people, when you're in prison, you're stripped of your identity. You're now given a number.
Only known by your last name.
Yeah, and your last name. So it's like you're not known to society. You're a product of the prison environment. So and look at the energy that's around a prison environment. It's very difficult to be positive in a negative environment. So it takes people you like yourself, you go into the prison, you can speak to people, because a lot of people, like I said, we all have our own issues, but it takes people to come from an outside point of view, come into the prison, speak to these people, to see the underlying factors, to hear their stories, and to relate to them. Like the workshops you're doing is very insightful, because inside that system, the governors, the people who work in there, that's not their job. It's not their job to rehabilitate these people who have been sent to prison. Their job is just to stick with the law, enforce that they're behaving well and things like that. Most of these people is like caged animals. They got a lot of emotion, but it's all pent up, it's all built inside. But they don't know how to express themselves. Like you said, when you speak to people and they express themselves, when they tell you with the films, and they tell you the kind of films they want to do with you, like with your workshops, it's very important. Very important.
I think it's it's about creating safe spaces for women and men to speak. And I don't, I can genuinely say that the work that I've done has been really supported by the prison. But I think that's also because I built relationship as a volunteer over the course of a year before I actually ended up doing the project. But they were fully behind what I was doing, which was amazing, because what I was doing was maverick and unorthodox, and no one's gone in and written a film and then filmed that film and within the prison, not with the young men. We weren't able to do that, but filmed their work within the environment in which they've been living and stuff. They're amazing guys. They're just amazing.
I just wanted to bring it back to because of you've brought up several times establishing relationships and building trust, like what you were talking about before. Obviously, I worked in a centre where kids get kicked out of school. I worked in one of those for about a year, and I found that when I worked within them, number one, they're all amazing. They're all amazing kids. Like you'll have ones that will have more confidence, that will talk to you straight away, that will conversate with you. You'll have ones that think they're like the dominant and will try and show you they lead in the ship or whatever. And you'll have ones that, like I had ones that I felt if I had created a bad relationship with, it would set the tone for others. So when I went in there with a very observant mind. So I was like just being very analytical of what they were doing. So for like a week, I didn't really talk to anyone. To be honest, they didn't really know why I was there, what's going on. They just see me, a new person in class, and they've got a teacher leading. So at the time, I was just being really observant, seeing like the dynamics, how one person talks to the other, X, Y, Z. And there was this one girl, and they brought me in to deal with one particular girl, but this one wasn't it. She was a different girl, and she had spoke to the head teacher so disrespectfully when I first saw her that I was like, I'm not going to talk to you. And it wasn't out of being mean. Like I say, it was more like I knew if we set this standard, then that's the standard set for everybody. I didn't talk to her. I ended up making best friends with like her best friend, and like I was there for maybe 2.5 months, and we had never spoke. Like she'd be in and out. Like she was almost like a mini big woman, if I'm being honest. Like the way she carried herself was like that. Like she was grown, naked. She's talking X, Y, Z out of her mouth, like a proper grown attitude about her. And then one day I was working alongside a Mal, and she's come to him because she obviously had already established a relationship with him. She was like, "Who is she?" And I said I was there, by the way, with her friend. She's like, "Who is she?" And then he was like, "Oh, this is Vanessa. She's a wellbeing officer, whatever." And then it took her maybe 1 or 2 days after that to like approach me, and then she just started asking me questions, I started asking her questions. We had a very normal conversation, and we established like a level of respect that I never experienced disrespect from that. The reason I didn't talk to her was because I felt that she was that disrespectful that there couldn't be a line. By the end, because I didn't like come and force a relationship with her. A lot of people that work with young people, they try to force a relationship. But a lot of what we've said today is about understanding and coming from a place where, you know, you can relate. Like, how was you in school? I found that when I worked in a centre, there was a lot of people that worked in Tesco's there. You've got people that work in Tesco's working with vulnerable young people, and then expect them to, I don't know, somehow turn around and come out the best. It's impossible. You've got unqualified, inexperienced people working with them, and I think a lot of the things and structures that are put in place for them, like you say, is like a setup to fail. Whether it be CAMS, whether it be the best people I've personally had experience with is yacht, because the yacht system seemed like the people that my brother had experienced. They were able to bring it straight to a level that was like so down here that anyone can get. A lot of us have these expectations and things in our heads that are up here, like I say, that are even higher than ourselves, and we're looking from young people, and that's not how. So I don't know, I think establishing trust so that they can be vulnerable, and usually leading with your own example, so like disclosing some kind of situation that you had. So I found that I remember having like a year 8 class, and I wrote a poem when I was about 14 or something, and it was largely based on like domestic abuse and like the fact that I had a youth mentor, because I had one in school, and he like really changed like the way I thought about the world pretty much. I wrote a poem, and I shared it with the year 8s because they were younger as well. I didn't really feel too judged, so I shared it with them. And this little boy who had been so annoying, if I'm being completely honest in my class, turned around, and because I said like, take some time, write down the paper if you feel like it, blah 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 blah, and he wrote a poem, and it was like really explaining in depth some of his home situation, and you would, as much as he was annoying, it was like all of a sudden everything shifted in me, because it was like I had a completely new perspective on the child. So for me, showing him mine, he could show me his, and I think that's a lot of largely ways to do young people. You have to show them yours so that they can trust them, believe in you, to show and tell you about theirs.